4 days later. In the days following our first attempt at making traps, my pupils and I were quick to reap the rewards of our efforts. On the first night we managed to capture 6 rabbits and 1 fox, all of which we skinned and consumed that very night. Well, I understand rabbits, but do people really eat foxes? Okay. Although we didn't get to eat much, considering how many villagers the meat was shared between. The familiar taste was almost enough to bring me to tears. In light of our success, that day we set up the same traps once again and crafted several more. With the taste of meat still fresh in our minds, Arak and I all did our part, setting up literally dozens of traps, limited only by the amount of string at our disposal. Nonetheless, our efforts were rewarded once again. We captured more rabbits than the last time, enough to divide up evenly between every member of our small village. This pattern repeated once more, and if it all goes well, it will repeat yet again today.
Okay, 1 bowl of nutritious goodies, as requested.
While dreaming of another day's harvest, Chiyo placed my breakfast on the table. On the other side, I found a bowl of fruit and berries, the same as ever.
Why is that rabbit food on the table? We should still have some meat left over from last night, shouldn't we?
Ko, you know you can't eat meat every meal of the day. And you can't skip meals either. If you don't want your breakfast, I'm not cooking what you catch today.
Ouch.
Hey now, let's not go crazy here. I'm eating alright, just watch me.
Throughout his station, I crammed my mouth full of miscellaneous fruits and berries. Chiyo didn't seem terribly impressed, but she didn't lash out either, so I presumed that I was in the clear.
Fine. As long as you eat what I prepare for you. Oh, but speaking of meat, have you thought about doing some fishing? I followed the river a bit further upstream yesterday, and it looks like it leads to an underground spring. There were koi swimming around. Can you believe that? I always thought it was strange for trees to flourish in the middle of nowhere like this. But if that spring leads to the ocean, then maybe... Kouichirou-sama! Kouichirou-sama! Are you there?
Mid-sentence, Chiyo's attention turned to the door where she found her new friend shouting as loud as she could.
Kana-chan?
I'm here. What's wrong?
Kouichirou-sama, you're samurai, right? Please, bring your sword and follow me.
Eh? We all ask my questions. I grabbed my katana, essentially unused since I came to Kotsu and fought Kana. She led me a short distance into the forest, near where her brothers and I first began playing traps. Kana looked around anxiously, on guard as she turned her head back and forth, searching for the danger she hadn't yet warned me about. Even without Kana saying anything, I can guess why I'm here. The large trap. Araki fate is gone, and there's a lot of blood where it once sat. Far more blood than I expect from a rabbit or a fox. Going by the bloody footprints, my guess is that someone stepped in the trap. The only question is, was it one of the boys or...
There he is!
A short walk away from where the trap had been set, a wounded samurai sat on the ground, nursing his leg. I could clearly see a large puncture wound where the trap had pierced him, and going by the dried blood surrounding the wound, I surmised that he had walked in the trap during the night.
Well, well, what have we here?
I removed my katana from its sheath and placed the blade against the fallen samurai's throat. Surprisingly, he didn't put up any resistance or draw his own weapon. Instead, the seated man stared me in shock, as though he had seen a ghost.
Captain Nabatame? Sir! Is that really you?
Although I didn't recognize the man before me, he seemed to know exactly who I was. Unfortunately, the dominant expression on his face was surprise, not fear or joy, so I couldn't be certain if he was only an ally or an enemy.
I may not be the captain of the Kodokushi anymore, but I am indeed Kouichirou Nabatame. State your name and business.
Oh, yes sir. My apologies. My name is Reise Sadayori, and I'm here on official business from the Mirai Kingdom. Nabatame-sama, we received a report from a foreign trader that there was an undocumented village here, next to a forest full of life. I was sent to verify the claims and...
Slow down. Who do you mean by we, exactly? Who sent you?
Well, it was indirect, but I suppose you could say it was the Kodokushi, sir.
The Kodokushi. They must have point of the jump when they realized it was a village they already burned down last year. No point scanning the village they already decimated, after all.
Sir? I don't mean to speak out of turn, but my leg...
Alright, I understand.
I shoot my sword and approach it, Raze.
I will help you, but you have to do something for me too.
Yes, of course, sir. It would be an honor.
I'm glad you feel that way. First, you're going to hand me your katana and wakizashi. I can't have you wandering around here while you're carrying weapons. Second, you're going to report to the Kodokushi that you found a burned down, uninhabited village next to the forest, and that the forest itself contains nothing of value. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. I understand.
That was too easy, to be honest. He will fuck that village up for sure. Kantar walked away from Summer, taking his weapons with us. Once we were out of earshot, Kana looked back at Raze, then faced me with a complicated expression on her face.
What is it, Kana?
No. It's nothing important. I just...
Kana hung the two shaded blades.
Are we really going to help him?
Why wouldn't we? You heard him. That man is a scout. He isn't here to harm us.
I know that, but... there you two are!
While Kana fumbled to find the right words, Chiyo finally caught up to us.
Jeez, Kana-chan, you really surprised me there. I knew Ko was fast, but I never expected that kind of agility from you. I guess it's because I'm always chasing after my little brothers.
Kana forced herself to laugh for Chiyo's benefit, but her worry overshadowed any false joy.
Kana-chan? What's going on? Why did you need Ko? And...
Chiyo's gaze drifted down to the two sheeted blades crowding Kana's arms.
I'll explain later. Kana, get a bucket and fill it with water. Chiyo, grab enough cloth to bind a person's leg many times over. Make it quick, and meet me back here when you're done.
Without argument, Kana and Chiyo did what I asked of them. They then handed over the supplies I needed and hung back as I approached Raze once more. I used the water to clean his leg, washing out splinters from the puncture wound as I removed any obstructions I found. I then bound his leg with the cloth Chiyo gave me in order to stop the bleeding, and finally sent Raze off after reminding him of our deal.
is it really alright to just let him go like that? Kana-chan told me about your deal, but even so, how do you know he will honor it?
With Raze no longer inside, Kana picked up the bucket and remaining cloth, then headed back to the village. Chiyo, however, was not convinced by what she had heard and seen, and showed no sign of returning just yet.
The simple answer is I don't. Raze might tell the Kodokushi the truth the second he returns, sparking a manhunt akin to my escape from last year.
If you know that, then how could you let him go? You're supposed to be this village's leader. How could you knowingly endanger everyone like that?
Chiyo shouted at me angrily, obviously not approving of my actions. Yet I couldn't blame her. To Chiyo, a young girl cut off from greater society, my actions may indeed have seemed like those of a traitor. Even so, my actions were not without reason.
Chiyo, what do you think would happen if I killed Raze?
What do I think?
Yes, if I killed that scout, what difference do you think it would have made?
Isn't it obvious? That samurai wouldn't be able to report that he found you. Or our village. We'd be safe.
I shook my head at Chiyo's naive conclusion. He has the point here. I mean, he wouldn't return. That means something happened. There must be someone in the village.
Chiyo, when a scout goes missing, they aren't simply forgotten. If you sent Kana into the forest and she never came back, where's the first place you would look for her?
In the forest.
Exactly. That isn't to say that you were wrong, Chiyo. Raze may indeed tell the Kodokushi where I am. But this way, there's still a chance that he'll honor our deal, and that's far better than guaranteed destruction at the hands of his comrades.
I see. So even if the odds aren't in our favor, at least this way there's still a glimmer of hope.
Correct, but there's more to it than that. I know it may not seem like much considering what's on the line, but even so, life is precious, Chiyo, and preserving life is something you should never feel bad about.
Not a bad line. 1 week later. In the week that followed Tracy's appearance, Hotsu Village underwent many changes. First and foremost, all repairs were put on hold, as were any plans to create new rabbit traps. All new traps were closer in size to Araki's trap, the one that nailed Tracy, and we branched out into the other traps not suitable for hunting small animals. We experimented with pitfalls, used string as the tripwire near beds of rock, and even trimmed back some of the bushes and trees to make several areas of the forest look almost identical. After that, I began coordinating evacuation exercises in which Kana would lead the other villagers to the underground spring that Chiyo found. The children would help the elderly to escape quickly, and we should mark out an appropriate route to the spring. While the villagers were fleeing, she and I would climb up our lumber stockpile onto the roof of a house near the edge of town. From there we could see anyone approaching from many miles away, allowing us to take the best course of action so as not to be seen. Although we kept watch every day, I had informed Chiyo and the others of how long it would take before we needed to keep our eyes peeled. By horse, we were only a day or two away from Mirai. By foot, a direct route would easily take 1 week at the bare minimum. So given that Razor had left on foot and the Kodokushi would travel by horse, we still had another few days before the worst case scenario could play out. Even if Razor imminently informed the Kodokushi and they mobilized that very instant, we could still afford to skip watchman duty for the time being.
Still nothing.
Why do you sound disappointed for?
I know I should feel relieved by the lack of action, but no matter how much time we spend up here, I can't help but feel anxious.
Chiyo held herself with her good arm, making no attempt to hide her feelings.
That is nothing to be ashamed of. Anxiety keeps you alert. For someone who is potentially being hunted, it could mean the difference between life and death.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Was it like this for you when you were working for them? I know you don't like to talk about it, but right now
I know. At this moment, I don't have the freedom to keep secret any information pertaining to the Kodokushi. Truthfully, I can't say I ever felt that kind of anxiety. Rather, I was excited by the thought that a strong opponent might seek me out. The only part of my job that made me feel like you do now was preparing for situations just like this.
As much as I tried to mask my own feelings, Hotsu Village's current situation was one I was already familiar with. Belonging to the Kodokushi, I was among those who sought to destroy villages like this, storming in and killing without hesitation. So although my situation had been reversed, I knew all too well how the assault would take place, and experience was not needed to predict the outcome.
Wrecking villages, slaying innocent people, torching corpses. Whenever we came across a village like this, I feared the worst, praying that my assignment wouldn't end in such a manner. But no matter how much I wished for a peaceful resolution, my fears always proved to be justified. Even if we didn't slaughter the entire village, our presence still ruined the lives of those we found. We took in slaves, stole horses, depleted the villagers' food supplies. As soon as we stepped outside of Mirai, we became villains.
Chiyo watched me sent as I told her about my past. Although we had been together for well over a year, I had never told Chiyo about the things I'd done, or explained how as bad as the people hunting me. Unfortunately, as the Kodokushi threatened to make a second appearance in Hotsu Village, I had little choice. Even if Chiyo hates me for the things I've done, our survival is my top priority. Forgetting my past is a luxury I cannot afford anymore. What's important is that I convey my knowledge of how they operate. As a former captain of the Kodokushi, I know their tactics well. If anyone has a chance of fending me off, it's me.
We would usually strike at our whim, but if we had reason to believe that the village contained combatants, our strategy differed. First, we would send a scout, unarmed, into the village. They would pretend to be a traveler or merchant and gather information for us. Next, we'd use that information to enter the village discreetly, avoiding any watched areas of the village, usually at daybreak. Finally, We'd start by setting alight the houses of the strongest members of the village, then proceed to slaughter everyone indiscriminately.
Even as I finally finished, Chiyo did not say a word. She looked at me with a worried expression on her face, as though torn between anxiety and fear. Chiyo did not approach me there, nor did she show any sign of speaking her thoughts. I should have known this would happen. It's one thing to call yourself a samurai, but it's another to listen to a tale of government-sanctioned evil. I can only imagine what Chiyo must think of me now. As the man responsible for her parents' deaths, for destroying her life, my only redeeming feature was that I was the lesser of the two evils. Now that Chiyo knows the truth.
I see. So that's why you don't like to talk about your old job.
Chiyo finally opened her mouth, barely managing to squeeze out those two sentences. But even as she spoke, her expression did not change. Whatever chord I had struck with Chiyo, she did not know how to react, and for my part, I wasn't sure where to go from there.
Yes, that was my old life. Please, whatever you think of me right now, keep it to yourself until this time of desperation has passed. If we're to be attacked.
Yeah, I understand. I'll tell the others about the Kodokushi's tactics, but the rest, I'll leave out.
Without any words, Chiyo climbed down from the roof, jumping into the same pile of lumber we used to climb up. She hung her head as she walked, not once looking back at me or showing the slightest glimpse of her usual self. As I feared, the truth completely shattered the image she had of me, which I worked long and hard to cultivate. A full year of bonding gone, just like that. Once the Kodokushi have come and gone, assuming they do come, this life Chiyo and I have been leading together may finally be over. Chiyo will oust me, and I will be forced to move on, leaving the village in the hands of those left behind. That might not be so bad, as I and Araki can take over most of my duties, and there are no dangers in this village which call for samurai strength. I'll be sad to go, of course, but from the beginning I only stayed here in order to look after Chiyo. Now that she has Kana and the others, Chiyo may be better off without me. 3 days later. In the wake of my confession to Chiyo, further changes took place in Hotsu village. Starting with Chiyo, the villagers began to act more depressed than I anticipated, including the over-energetic Asai and Araki. In turn, this lethargy slowed productivity down to a halt. Our meals were all smaller, no new traps were made, and torn clothing went without repair. We all simply wandered around the village aimlessly like starving chickens waiting to be beheaded. Even as the villagers gave into despair, I remained vigilant, keeping watch at all hours of the day. I headed out of the village in the direction of Mirai, practicing my swordsmanship as I waited for an enemy that might never come. Looking over the horizon, I almost wished that the Kodokushi would show up, so we could finally end our struggle. But as I swung my blade at thin air, reliving my days as Captain Nabatame, the only thing that came to me was reminiscence.
Here.
Before I could leave the house to start my training for the day, Chiyo placed a wooden bowl full of fruit in front of me. Despite our damaged relationship, Chiyo still insisted that I eat whatever she prepared, and she refused to let me go hungry.
Thank you, Chiyo. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No sooner had she offered me breakfast than Chiyo retreated in the next room. Although she resolved to continue her role as a forager, Chiyo was otherwise just as depressed as everyone else, if not more, so... She spoke to me very little, ate almost nothing herself, and had barely slept at all. Chiyo was in a downward spiral, and the only thing I could do was wait for fate to take its course. Upon arriving at the edge of the village facing Mirai, I had expected to indulge in solitude. I had been training alone until this point, and nobody dared to go near me when I unsheathed my sword. On this day, however, that pattern was broken.
Good morning, Kouichirou-sama! Kouichirou-sama! There you are!
Waiting patiently in my usual training spot were Asai and Araki, both of whom were wearing serious expressions. I hadn't expected either boy to be awake so early. Since they arrived, both boys had constantly woken up later than even the elderly villagers. Either my good habits were finally rubbing off, or something was wrong.
Good morning, boys. You're up early. What brings you out here?
Araki looked down the ground and swayed from side to side, unwilling or unable to convey the reason behind his appearance.
Kouichirou-sama, Asa and I... Kouichirou-sama, please train us!
Train you?
In contrast to his brother's reservation, as I immediately blurted out their mutual desire.
Please, Kouichirou-sama! Right! Please train us!
As I Itaraki both bowed their heads.
You two want me to train you?
Yes! Please, teach us how to use a sword! You still have those 2 blades you took from that other samurai, right? Please, let us wield them! Yeah! We want to help protect the village! Please! Help us to protect our family!
Faced with the honest, selfless pleas of 2 young boys, I sighed in expression and shook my head.
Boys, I'm glad that you want to help, but the Kodokushi could be here any day now. Those men have trained for years, some even decades. Learning basic sword skills won't help you.
But Kouichirou-sama...
No buts. If you try to fight those men, you're going to get yourselves killed. Do you understand that? They will not take pity on you because you're children. They will slaughter you with ease and without hesitation. I understand that you want to protect your family, but you can't do that if you're dead. If you truly wish to protect your family, then go with them. Stay by their sides and see to it that they escape with their lives.
Understood, Kouichirou-sama.
As I indirectly slowly walked away, fighting back tears as they did. Once they had put a few meters between us, the 2 boys started to run straight towards their house. Neither one of them turned back to face me, nor did they say another word as they ran. My tone may have been a little harsh, but those boys needed to hear it. Childish dreams of guaranteed die the minute you enter battle. If those 2 fight, they will without a doubt be killed. So if making those boys resent me is what it takes to keep them alive, it's a price I'm willing to pay. Unfortunately, that seems to be a common pattern recently. Chiyo hasn't looked at me the same since I told her about my old job, and the friendliness I once received from the other villagers is now gone. Asa and Araki were most likely the only 2 left on my side, and now... I wandered past the edge of the village into the barren lands before me. Unsheathing my blade, I exhaled deeply, readying myself for another day of training in solitude. With my blade held firmly in my right hand, I wandered away from the village as far as I could go without losing sight of my new home. A week or so of training may not make up for a year of peace and life, but it does remind me of the man I once was. Before I became a killer, I was a devoted swordsman. I trained every day and took every opportunity to improve myself. I fought strong opponents, many of whom were twice my age and far more experienced, yet I never lost. My endless training and natural talent propelled me forward, making it possible for me to become the best of the best. For all of those who praised and revered my skill, just as many people resented me. Every time I defeated a seasoned swordsman while sparring, I would gain another fan and 10,000 enemies. Ordinary people feared me, and other samurai treated me with hostility, all because I surpassed them so easily. I dared to rise up higher than they could ever reach, and for that I was hated. Through the tough times, only 2 people stayed by my side, my child friends, Haru and Ito. Like the 2 sides of my conscience, Haru and Ito always sparred me on in conflict ways, both with my best interest at heart. My dear Haru always wanted me to give up joining the Kodokushi. She practically begged me to give up on the swordsmanship and to live a normal life. Ito, on the other hand, considered us to be rivals. He foresaw the 2 of us joining the Kodokushi together, rising the ranks and forever competing as we fought side by side. But now that life's over, and I failed to make either one of their dreams come true. I could not give her the happy life she so deserved, nor will I ever again fight by Ito's side. All I have left now is the village, and the people within it. My daughter Chiyo, my 2 pupils, Araki and Azai, their sister, Chiyo's good friend Kana, the kind-hearted families who fled from Mirai. Before I realized it, I was swinging my sword angrily, cutting away at the air before me while deep in thought. I thrust my blade forward, then turned around and slashed at the invisible enemy behind me. As for dancing, I swiftly moved in a cutting yet rhythmic pattern, playing out a scene of carnage from my past. I disemboweled and beheaded soldier after soldier, painting the walls red with their blood. Whether they love me or hate me, I will protect every person in this village. I am the village leader, and I will see this fight through to the bitter end. The Kodokushi will come, if not because of that scout, then for the sake of exploration, or to expand the kingdom. And when they do, I'll be ready. After many hours of tired training, I returned home to eat lunch with Chiyo. I had worked on both a sweat and appetite, thanks to the hot rays of the sun beaming down on me, so a bowl full of juicy fruit sounded more tantalizing than ever. Upon walking through the door, however, I immediately realized that my extortion wouldn't be rewarded so easily.
About time you got back, Ko. You reek of sweat.
Waiting with a stern look on her face, Chiyo addressed me the moment I walked inside.
Yes, it is rather hot out there. It's easy enough to work up a sweat even without moving, let alone while swinging a blade around.
Is that right?
Chiyo stared at me dubiously, as though my reply didn't matter in the slightest.
Did something happen, Chiyo? Or is this still about what I told you the other day?
Don't jump to conclusions. Not everything is about you, Ko. Maybe you should think less about yourself and more about those around you.
With obvious hostility in her voice, Chiyo failed to answer my question. Unfortunately, with no idea why she was angry, I could only act like my usual self.
Others around me? Are you talking about yourself? I've been giving you space because I thought that was what you wanted. If not, all you had to do was...
I'm talking about Kana's little brothers. I don't know what you said to them, but those boys have been depressed and crying all morning. Now Kana's angry at me because of something you said. Just what did you say to those boys exactly? What did you do to screw up their lives?
The second try to make a joke, Chiyo lashed out, completely unwilling to play along. I could see fear in her eyes, unlike anything I'd seen since we first met, back when her parents' corpses were still fresh, and we were mere strangers.
Hey now, calm down. There's no need to get upset. The boys wanted me to show them how to use a sword, and I refuse. That's all. Perhaps I could have been nicer about it, but I still feel that my decision was warranted.
Warranted or not, you've just made the entire Kihei family hate you. You need to apologize to those boys right now.
You want me to apologize? I told those boys not to throw their lives away. How is that something to apologize for?
I don't care who's in the wrong. Just apologize to them. You're the adult here, so act like one. Tell those boys that you're sorry so we can all be friends again.
Faced with Chiyo's accusations and demands, I could feel my calm disposition slipping away. The stress of preparing Hope's village for an imminent bloodbath was weighing on me, not to mention the cold treatment I'd been receiving from the villagers. Ever since Reise showed up, life in the village had become unbearable.
Friends, don't make me laugh. Not one person in this village considers me a friend. You all call out, Kouichirou-sama, Kouichirou-sama, when you need something. Yet the second real conflict arrives, nobody wants anything to do with me. But that's fine by me. I don't need to be loved, or even liked. I will continue to do what I think is right.
Are you even listening to yourself? Just how self-centered can you be? This isn't about you. It's about doing what's best for everyone. We should be preparing for the worst right now. Instead, everyone's too busy getting mad about nothing. So swallow your pride, apologize, and do your duty as a village leader.
That's exactly what I was doing. What kind of village leader would tell children to join the front lines, or give them weapons? I was protecting you all, just as I always have.
Damn it, Ko. At some point, you need to realize that sheltering people isn't the same as protecting them. You should be telling those boys what they can do to help, not just shooting them down.
I sighed angrily at Chiyo's response. It is hopeless. All we're doing is going around in circles. Chiyo has no idea what was said. She just unconditionally taking her friend's side. Is this what it's like to be a father, or is it merely the misfortune of being a leader?
Chiyo, please stop acting like you know everything. I did tell those boys how they could help. I told them to stay with their family, and to escape together. Tell me, how is that wrong?
That's not wrong, but...
But nothing. I have not erred here, and I will not stand beside children and watch them get slaughtered. Chiyo, I appreciate that you want everyone to get along, but it's not always that simple. Sometimes, people simply cannot see eye to eye, no matter what. I turned those boys down knowing that they might hate me for doing so. But if that's what it takes to keep them alive, then I regret nothing.
I still can't agree with you deciding everything for them. Even if they lose their lives doing so, those boys have a right to decide if they want to fight or not.
Now you're just trying to best me. You don't believe a word you just said, do you?
I do so!
No, you don't. You've realized that you were in the wrong, and now you're trying to cover up your mistake. You should realize by now that Father knows best.
You're wrong! It's not like that! I was just sticking up for those boys, that's all!
It's okay, Chiyo. I accept your apology. Though if you really want to apologize, know that the quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
I laughed at Chiyo's attempt to retain her dignity, then offered her way out. I didn't want to argue any more than she did, and if giving Chiyo another task would help keep her distracted while, then both sides would benefit.
So that's what you were after. Fine. If preparing your lunch is what it takes to put this conversation behind us, then I'm ready whenever you are. Let us go for a little trip into the forest, shall we?
Now that's more. Wait a second. Us?
I'll grab the food. You need a bath. I wasn't kidding about you reeking of sweat, Ko.
I suppose I've been training since daybreak. Even if I can't smell myself, I'm definitely covered in sweat.
Okay. A quick bath, lunch, and then back to training. Today might not be a total waste after all.
After Chiyo grabbed a basket filled with food, the two of us entered the forest. Despite knowing the path, I followed Chiyo as she led the way, trailing close behind while silently smiling to myself. In truth, there was no reason for me to be smiling. I was quickly becoming alienated, arguing with my daughter, and aware of an imminent threat on the village. Nonetheless, when I watched Chiyo once again joyful and full of life, I couldn't help but smile. While I dislike arguing with her, in this case our heated exchange seems to have done some good. Yesterday Chiyo would barely speak to me, now we are strolling through the forest together. Apparently a bit of communication was just what we needed. She and I avoided parts of the forest in which the boys and I had laid traps. We had set traps further in the forest than when we were hunting and made them large enough to snare an adult male. With that in mind, Chiyo and I remained vigilant, careful not to get skewered by our own protection.
Okay, we're almost at the river. You remember the way from here, don't you?
I do indeed. Thank you for guiding me this far.
My pleasure. I'll be close by, so just call out when you're done.
Will do. Don't stick too close by though. I'm actually quite shy, you know?
Of course. I'll make sure to... wait, what was that?
Don't be ashamed. I know you peeped on me while I was bathing before. But you're too old to bathe with Papa, so please refrain from doing so.
Are you insane? I never tried to peep on you. If anything, you were the one trying to peep on me!
That's not how I remember it.
Obviously, your memory is deteriorating in your old age, you perverted geezer.
Ouch. Who are you calling an old geezer? I'm only 24, you know.
Yeah. Same age here.
Then act your age. Shut your mouth and wash the sweat from your body. Call for me when you're done, and you better be fully clothed.
Tired out of banter, Chiyo walked in the opposite direction of the river. She didn't stop, nor did she cast her glance my way. I was on my own once more, and until I had finished bathing, Chiyo would not graze my side. Take time to thoroughly clean my body. I wound up bathing for far longer than planned. Occupied with the drama invading Hotsu village, I hadn't been bathing as often as I should, so I was overdue for a proper cleaning. More so than that, however, I simply want to take the chance to think everything through, free of any distractions. If there is one thing that has changed between my life in the city and my life in Hotsu village, it's that a bath is the best place to forget your worries. That's true actually. Alone, floating in the water, away from any of this strife that plagues you and made your daily life. Whether you're in the bathtub or drifting down the river, the feeling of freedom does not change. However, now that I've had the time to clear my head, I realize that there is work to be done. First, as Chiyo resisted, I must speak to the Kihei boys. Whether I was right or wrong, I must make amends, lest they disobey my orders and get themselves killed. Next, I will speak to the villagers, one by one, and take the time to personally explain our predicament, who the Kodokushi are, and what to expect. Finally, I will organize rotating surveillance teams, such that we will see the enemy coming no matter when or from what direction.
Chiyo-chan, I'm out of the bath now.
Feeling like a great wave can be lifted from my shoulders, I gleefully called out to Chiyo, who was foraging close by.
Ko? What's wrong? Did you slip and hit your head?
Oh, don't be like that. I was just calling out to my precious daughter.
With honorifics and an infantile tone?
Well, you always used to complain when I just called you Chiyo, and my voice is...
Don't explain. Just act like your usual creepy self.
Ouch, again. First I was perverted geezer, and now I'm a creep. I'm getting quite a bad reputation here.
Alright. Creepy Ko it is. So, scrounge up something interesting for lunch?
Interesting might not be the word for it, but you'll definitely be able to eat your fill. I've got persimmons, apples, pears, you name it.
Prompted by Chiyo's claim, I looked down the basket at her feet.
That's quite the haul. You really worked hard for Papa's sake.
Who said this was for your sake? I'm not going to start starving myself. Besides, I wanted to make sure we had enough for dinner too. So, it's not like I gathered more than usual.
Chiyo hardly denied my accusation, her face flushed the entire time. No matter how long we spent together, Chiyo would never admit to doing something for my sake. And thanks to my teasing, whenever she did, that was unlikely to ever change.
Okay, I understand. Let's head back to the village and eat together. I'm famished.
Me too. I haven't been foraging as much these past few days, so I could really use a sizable meal. And maybe after we eat, you can... apologize?
Very subtle, Chiyo. But don't worry. While I won't take back what I said, I will apologize for the manner in which I spoke. I want to get along with everyone just as much as you do.
I knew you'd come around! Make sure to tell me when you go to apologize. I want to see Ko on his hands and knees, begging for forgiveness.
I'm not that sorry.
Yeah. As Chiyo and I encroached upon Hot's village, the forest's usual ambience suddenly died off. Although nothing appeared to amiss, I could feel something strange in the air, a disturbance I couldn't quite put my finger on. Something about the forest had changed, if not physically, then in a more discreet manner. I looked over at Chiyo, who walked along as happily as ever. If she noticed something too, she wasn't letting on. Chiyo simply continued to stroll through the forest without a care in the world. But Chiyo's behavior was not enough to convince me that I was wrong, nor was I able to pin my hopes on her ability to sense danger. We are nearing the village now. If there is danger afoot, it mightn't necessarily be in the forest. But the only danger that comes to mind is what I've been preparing for, an assault by the Kodokushi. I couldn't see any sign of them in the distance as I looked toward me right earlier, and I haven't been in the forest long enough for such a distance to be covered. Could the threat be internal? None of the villagers were violent or unpredictable. The likelihood of one of them posing a threat or lashing out was minimal. Nonetheless, there were 4 blades in my home, not to mention the tools I use on a daily basis. If someone were to snap under pressure, violence may be imminent.
Ko, are you feeling alright? You've been quiet for a while now.
I looked down at Chiyo, uncertain how best to answer her question.
Honestly, I'm not sure. Chiyo, does something feel... off to you?
Off? What do you mean?
I don't know. I suppose it's a sense of impending danger. Samurai are trained to sleep with one eye open, figuratively speaking. We have a keen sense for when something is awry.
Are you sure you aren't just being paranoid? There's no danger around here. We all...
Chiyo stopped mid-sentence and began to sniff the air. I followed suit, paying more attention to the scent than I had before. And the moment I did, a horribly familiar scene played out before me. Hot's village, in flames, once more. The moment Chiyo spied the village, she dropped the basket in her hand and stared blankly at the flames. She froze, completely devastated, as she watched history repeat itself.
Chiyo, go back to the forest. Do not come out until I say so.
I took charge immediately, but Chiyo remained despondent. The sight of the indubitable flames taking away her home and her friends was too much for her to bear.
Chiyo, back in the forest, now!
What?
As I showed to her, Chiyo finally snapped out her lace. Her hand shook and she looked from side to side, trying to find at least one villager. However, the only bodies we could see were corpses torn to shreds without any hope of survival.
This can't be happening. Not again. I can't.
Chiyo, listen to me!
I can't. I can't watch this happen again!
At long last, Chiyo ran off. However, rather than enter the forest, Chiyo headed straight in the village, towards the Kihei home. Damn it, Chiyo, this is not the time! Without wasting a second, I quickly followed after her. Usually I would outrun her with ease, but after training all morning, I no longer possessed such speed. All I could do was run, thinking that I'd find her before the Kodokushi. Those bastards, the second I leave the village, they strike. They must have been watching me, waiting for the perfect time to invade. And the time I was gone, every one of the villagers was. As I approached the Kihei home, I grimaced at the sight of two painfully familiar corpses. As I entered, each wielding one of my blades. The moment the Kodokushi struck, the two headed straight for my home. The home of Kouichirou, the village leader, the person whose job was to protect them. And when they couldn't find me, they took the matter into their own hands. Filled with both sadness and anger, I took my katana and whacked Zashi from the boys. I bit my lip so hard I could feel the blood run down my face, meanwhile clenching each blade tighter than ever before. This kind of senseless slaughter is exactly why I left the Kodokushi in the first place. I left to get away from the bloodshed, to escape the role of a remorseless killer. But now that it's come to this,
Kouichirou! Help!
As rage and regret threatened to consume me, a lone voice dragged me back. I turned the direction from which the voice came, and the moment I did, I realized that my initial fear had been realized.
Oh, look at who we have here! I heard you were seeking refuge in this village, but I never thought I'd actually find you.
Ito.
I dashed towards Chiyo's voice, the one she cried out, unaware of the absurd sight awaiting me. Dressed in the same outfit I had worn last year, that of the captain of the Kodokushi, was Ito, my childhood friend and rival.
So you do remember me after all. It's been so long that I feared you may have forgotten me. Thankfully, that appears not to be the case.
As I drew closer, Ito tightened his grip, bringing the edge of his katana an inch away from Chiyo's throat.
You don't want the last remaining citizen of this village to be beheaded, do you? Or could it be that you've finally taken a liking to killing children?
Ito smirked arrogantly, knowing well that I wouldn't want the death of an innocent bystander to hang over my head.
Just kidding! I know you aren't like that. That's why you quit in the first place, right? Because you didn't have the stones for it anymore? Such a shame. You always possessed so much skill, yet never properly applied yourself to your job. Not that I'm complaining. Your betrayal just gave me one more chance to show everyone that I am your superior.
I sent glare at Ito, contemplating my next move. I could risk harming Chiyo, but at the same time I realized that doing nothing was not an option. I need to to buy time until an opening presented itself.
What's wrong, Ko? So scared you can't talk? How embarrassing! The former captain of the Kodokushi has been reduced to a simple villager. Is this why you left Mirai? So you could live among other weaklings like yourself and...
Stop listening to him, Ko! You aren't a weakling! You're the strongest person I've ever known! But strength is meaningless if you don't use it! You said you would protect us, right? Then stop listening to him and do something, Ko!
Caught off guard, Ito looked down at Chiyo for a moment. He then looked back at me, with the same disgusting smirk plastered on his face.
You may not have forgotten about me, but it does sound like you've already gotten over Haruka. It hasn't even been a year and a half, yet you've already moved on from the death of your wife?
Ko, please! Don't just stand there! Please! I already told you! I don't want to die!
Haruka must be turning in her grave, watching her husband screw a little girl every night. Is it true that younger is better? I've always wondered, but never actually gotten around to seeing for myself.
Why aren't you doing anything? Please! Ko
How does this go compared to Haruka? When the lights go out, do you pretend she's still with you?
Kouichirou!
Silence.
Ito and Chiyo both stared in amazement, unable to follow my movements, and I instantaneously cut down all of Ito's men. Their bodies fell to the floor without a sound, sliced open with cuts too fine to be made by a human. It wasn't until after their bodies fell apart that the blood escaped their corpses, pulling on the ground around Ito's feet.
Ko?
After my display, Chiyo was the first to speak up. She looked at me with wide eyes, unable to believe what I had just done. But Chiyo was not the target of my focus, not yet.
Ito.
Ito jumped as I spoke his name. My voice was low and filled with malice, so much so that I surprised even myself.
Did you really think that a surprise attack and a hostage would be enough to take me out?
I took a step towards Ito.
How foolish. What was it that you called yourself before? My superior?
I took another step forward, readying my blade.
Ridiculous. Surely you do not believe that. I don't care how long it's been. I have always been without equal. You were just too arrogant to accept it.
I raised my blade, pointing toward Chiyo's shoulder and directly at Ito's face.
You should have just left me here to live out my days in peace. Now prepare yourself.
By the time I had finished speaking, Ito's expression had turned from one of surprise to the one of pure terror. His hand shook, and it seemed as though he would drop his blade within a second.
No. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't kill me. I'm your best friend. Your only friend.
My unchanged expression told Ito how little impact his words were having.
Please, just... I'll leave, okay? I'll go back to Mirai and tell them you died in battle.
How pathetic. Where did your confidence from a moment ago disappear to, Ito? You brazenly insulted me, mocked Haru's death, insinuated that I would defile a young girl, and now you suddenly beg for forgiveness? Burn in hell, my best friend.
I pulled my blade back and stepped forward, carefully maneuvering around Chiyo aside.
Wait a minute!
A split second before I could pierce Ito's throat, Chiyo shouted out. I rested my blade on Ito's shoulder, not taking my eyes off him for a moment as I questioned Chiyo's command.
What is it, Chiyo? Can't you see that I'm in the middle of something?
I spoke to Chiyo in a cold yet not aggressive tone. Though she tried to hide it, I could see that Chiyo was really frightened, both by the village-wide slaughter and the Kouichirous she thought she knew. So for her sake, if only for a moment, I showed an ounce of control.
Ko... You shouldn't...
Chiyo fumbled to find the right words as she twitched nervously.
You shouldn't... kill your friend.
I shot my gaze away from Ito for a moment. Chiyo, frightened, appeared to be fairly calm, making her words carry slightly more weight. Nonetheless, I could only stare at her in confusion, completely incapable of understanding her plea.
Are you insane?
Listen to the girl, Ko! You don't want to do this!
Ignoring Ito's desperate shriek, I prodded Chiyo once more.
Chiyo, this man just slaughtered our entire village. The day when we met, he did the exact same thing. He may very well be the man who killed your parents. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't end his very existence.
Chiyo let out a brief sigh, as though she had hoped I'd ask that very question.
It's just like my father once told me. Life is precious, Chiyo. And preserving life is something you should never feel bad about.
I opened my eyes wide in shock, completely unprepared for what I just heard. Chiyo immediately gained my full attention, and in doing so, allowed Ito to escape. Taking advantage of my close proximity, Ito showed Chiyo into my arms, then ran out for his life. But rather than give chase, I felt content to hold Chiyo in my arms, still staring at her in amazement. The young girl from back then, who astounded me with her strong will to live, once again proved worthy of praise. Talking someone down when they are prepared to kill is not easy. It requires delicacy and precise knowledge of the would-be killer. Despite that, Chiyo, a girl who showed me nothing but fear moments prior, was able to pull it off without the slightest hint of difficulty. Once again, Chiyo has shown me how truly amazing she is. As Ito fled and our village burned down, Chiyo returned my blank stare with a smile.
Come on, Ko. There's no time to waste. It may be too late to save the villagers, but we can at least stop the fire.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I don't know how much of the village we'll be able to save, but let's do what we can. And when we're done, we shall rebuild our lives once more.
Wanda no more. God damn it. To be honest, I expected something like that would happen, so they appearing again. But it's still... It's a bit annoying they succeeded in the attack. But on the other hand, well, I guess that's how it would be, right? I mean, one person against small army, something, okay. As Kouichirou village burned to the ground, she and I had a decision to make. Her home and more recently mine could only be rebuilt so many times. Further to that, the Kodokushi and thus the Mirai Kingdom knew where to find us, making the village a definite target. If we choose to embrace the familiarity of Hotsu, we would eventually be hunted down. On the other hand, we could only wander for so long. The food and water we could carry from the forest was not without limit, and neither one of us knew where we might find another habitable village. Leaving Hotsu for certainly a wise choice would not guarantee us salvation. Instead, the gamble might leave us without supplies in the middle of nowhere or trapped in an enemy village. Even knowing this, she and I ultimately decided to take the horse of one of the fallen samurai. We headed in the opposite direction of Mirai, towards the kingdom I once opposed. A kingdom in which we could find protection from the Kodokushi, knowing that even they wouldn't dare tread in such a place.
I'm still not sure about this. Will they really take us in? I've never been this far away from Mirai before.
Quit worrying, Ko. This isn't the Mirai Kingdom we're talking about. Not everyone settles disputes with swords, you know.
True enough. While Mirai was seemingly set on expansion, the kingdom we were traveling towards possessed no such goal. Not once had I heard of them burning down villages or extorting resources from others. Despite their military might, the kingdom opposing Mirai appeared to value peace.
Be that as it may, we have no way of knowing whether we'll be accepted or not. What will we do if they turn us away?
They won't turn us away. Even Hatsu occasionally traded with other villages. If we tell them that Mirai wiped out our village, they'll definitely take us in. Just don't tell them that you were the captain of the Kodokushi, okay?
Of course. Even I wouldn't say something that tactless.
Laughing at Chiyo's optimism and humble plea, my mood picked up back up. Whatever I may be, I knew that Chiyo was right and we had already come too far to turn back.
Worry not. When we arrive, I'll tell them who I am, not who I once was. I am Kouichirou Nabatame, a wandering samurai hunted by the Mirai Kingdom, who seeks nothing more than refuge for his beloved daughter.
What's over here? Oh, there is a gallery, cool. Right, nice. Oh, sprites. Okay, that's also pretty cool. Alright, alright. What else do we have here? The characters, so... We have two characters and yeah, the descriptions. Cool, cool. What else? Okay, that's all. Alright, that was Wonder No More. And I clicked quit. Okay, so, well, that was kind of fun. Well, I guess the outcome was kind of predictable here. That fully escaping those bastards was not doable, and they would eventually return, even though they weren't technically from the start after Kouichirou, but just after wiping out the villages. Also, Mirai Kingdom is shit. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun. 100, yeah, well, almost 100 minutes of the game. So yeah, for now, hope you enjoyed it, and guess tomorrow I will start recording the next day for you. So yeah, until next time, bye bye.